What up?
What up? How are you doing?
That's another day. It's another day. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I saw you were ranking a lot of movies during the day
Yeah.
today. That seemed like a lot of fun.
It got chaotic. I will say that. It got way more chaotic than I was prepared for, and I was just trying to keep up.
I can't believe people could definitely list and name a movie to me that I'm like, I haven't seen that. There's just so many damn movies.
My list, I have a growing list of movies that I either forgot to check out or I've never even heard of. I mean, I got like over 100 movies now.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I got a lot of movies to catch up on apparently.
Yeah, right. You start to realize like a lot of people have seen a lot more stuff than you have seen.
Yeah. But it was fun. I got some new followers out of it. I had met some really cool people. It was a good time.
Yeah, awesome. Hello to everybody in the chats. I'm seeing people joining us and saying, "Hey, hey, awesome." I am. I'm sorry. I tried to have you be a co-host, but it's preventing me from allowing me to do that. It's just allowing this. I'm glad
Hmm.
that we're able to do it. At least even this right now. You know how
Oh
TikTok
yeah.
is. It's just an absolute pain in the ass and stops you at every possible way that it can. But
Yeah, TikTok be messing around.
yeah, yeah. Well, I have been spending a lot of time thinking about the list that we want to talk about today because we each made our own top A24s. And like you said when we were chatting earlier, it does put into perspective how many films are produced by A24 because there's a lot
Right.
of them that I'm like, oh shit, I didn't see that yet. So I want to prep the audience for like, how could that be on your list? Is I might not have seen the other
Yeah.
one yet. These are my favorite of the ones I have seen because
Yeah,
there's
there
so many.
yeah, I didn't know looking into doing my research and stuff also I mean, they've been dropping films since 2011.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I the one I remember first seeing was The Witch, and that was 2015. And
Yep.
so there was 4 years of movies that they were dropping, and I seen them too, just never even realized that it was
Mhm.
A24.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't quite as big a presence. I it's kind of funny now because like you go and you start to look for specifically
Mm-hmm.
A24 films, but that doesn't feel like it's something as old as 2011 by far.
Yeah, it's insane, and I love the deep dive I did into them into the studio itself because it's really that is a studio that really looks after the artists and wants the artists to have their view and what if they want it this way, they're gonna get it that way.
Yeah. They're they're pretty unique. They are not part of the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which is like the bigs of the bigs. They're kind
Yeah.
of on their outline, and that sort of represents the kind of filmmaking that they want to like herald in. Is they're
Hmm.
not with the big bigs. You're not going to see an A24 Marvel movie. That's just not what they're
Wild
going to
though.
do. I mean, don't mind. I would love to see
That
it,
would be an
but
interesting take.
yeah, but it would probably be a little bit divisive to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although that the trailer for the Joker sequel just came out yesterday, and that feels like an A24
It does.
superhero
I
movie.
still don't know how I feel about it. I don't know this
Yeah.
whole going from a noir suspense comic movie to a musical. It's it's a very big jump right there.
Yeah, that's a different audience base, a
Yeah.
completely different audience base. And I am not often keen on a musical. I will gladly be surprised by a musical, but I always go into it being like, oof, ugh.
Yeah. It's got to be a really good musical for me to like it. Like
Yeah.
I was afraid I wasn't going to like The Greatest Showman, but
Yeah, that is
I
quite good.
watched it I think a year after it came out and I was actually really shocked. My only complaint is I really wish it was the full story of Barnum and Bailey and not just the story of Barnum.
Mm,
That was my only complaint. Other than
yeah.
that, it's not a bad movie though.
I saw that movie in probably the best way you could possibly see that movie, which is
Hugh
that
Jackman.
I saw it with a bunch of circus performers. We all got together and we projected it on the side of our studio. So it was all with like little kids who were into circus too, and everybody just watched it together. And I was like, well,
That's
this
actually
is the
pretty
vibe.
that's cool actually. I'm not even gonna lie. My friend saw Hugh Jackman perform all the songs from it when he did that
He's
little concert tour or whatever. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's amazing how much he can actually sing.
Oh
A
yeah,
little unfair to be so quite talented.
yeah.
Um, yeah. going back to A24 and thinking about they are not part of the AMPTP, which is amazing because what they wound up doing during this strike, which is that they were able to get interim agreements with SAG and agree to what the actors wanted because, like you said, they're a studio that wants to focus on what the actor wants,
Mm-hmm.
what the screenwriter wants. And the result is films that get made that often feel like, wow, I can't believe this film got a chance. And I love how weird and different and strange and beautiful it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all of them are great, though. I will say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
But they
It's
are definitely all very interesting films that they produce and distribute. And hats off to them. I mean, because no
yeah.
other company is doing it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Um, there were two films that they got to get through, and they started filming during this strike, and I forgot about one until I looked it up recently. And it's God, The Death of a Unicorn, starring Jenny Ortega and Paul Rudd. And the premise is the two of them are in a car and they hit and kill a unicorn on a wildlife preserve of a CEO pharmaceutical. And that's like all you get. And it's not out yet. They don't even have trailers. I'm desperate to know more. And
I
that's like,
am so curious.
right?
So curious. What?
That's the weirdness you get with A24,
Oh
though.
man, that sounds so fucking cool. I'm not Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. That's definitely not a duo you would
I know.
prepare to see on screen together. Yeah. Where can I buy my tickets right now? Like
Exactly. Sign me up.
Yeah, like I'll see anything with Paul Rudd.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely. And what a man that seems to be aging backwards. He must have like a painting in his attic that is decaying like shit because he is immortally
because he's what,
gorgeous
like
and young.
50 in his 50s now, right?
Yeah.
What the day I found out when he turned 50 years old, I called bullshit. I was like, there's no freaking way. And then I started looking back on like movies I watched in the 90s and he was in them and he still looked the same. And I'm
I
like, all
know.
right, this guy's a vampire. Like
Exactly. Oh man. Well, shall we just hop right on into it? You ready to
Oh, I'm
start
down.
ticking them off? I feel like we got some people in here. We got people listening, got people joining in.
We got the
He is
Skinnamarink
also
mom.
super rich. That is true. Yeah, fiction fixation points out that he is super rich, and that does often nothing fixes your face like pressing money into it.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Waking up on a giant bed in a mansion. Oh yeah, that helps out a lot.
All the moisturizer you could ever need, top
Yeah.
notch moisturizer. Um, but
All
yes,
right.
I I will admit that I put all these films in and then I switched them around and switched them around and switched them around, and
I
I
don't know how
may
many times I
even
did that with mine too.
may even get slippery and try and switch them around while we're talking.
I've already kind of questioned that in my head a little bit. I was like, I feel like because there's like a couple of them on here. I'm like, I feel like I don't think that's the right spot for that one. Maybe I'll change it up when we get to it.
And when we talk to each other, we might encourage something, because I was on a show last night talking about Glengarry Glen Ross, which is a film I very much like, and I had rated it 4 stars. And like after 2.5 hours of talking about how much I liked it and everybody pointing out the good parts of it, I was like, damn it, I think it's 4.5 stars. I gotta go back and fix that.
That's what I did with The Godfather earlier. When I got done watching it this morning, I was like, looked at my girlfriend. I was like, yeah, that's a 4.5. And then while I'm writing my review and doing it, I'm like, fuck that, dude. This is a 5 out of 5. Like,
Straight
like this
up.
movie is amazing. But oh my god, watching it, some of the fight sequences are so bad. Like he goes and throws a right hook, and it's like the angle the camera is, you can see him miss like by this far, and the guy still's like, oh,
Oh, yeah,
I'm like the '70s, man.
there was no stunt coordinator on that
No,
set.
no,
No.
they're like, yeah, they'll look realistic, yeah,
It's fine. It's
yeah. Nobody's gonna know.
I will admit my family is super obsessed with that movie. My parents, their wedding song is the love song from that movie, and they have like a little music box that plays it. Yeah,
Hmm.
in deep. And my aunt used to take us to the place where Sonny got shot. She's it's right here on Long Island because I grew up
He
on
died right
the
there.
Queens. This is where they shot that death scene. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna be starting the second one either tonight or tomorrow morning. So
Mm.
I think I've heard that one's the best one, or I've heard that one's not the best one. I know the
It's
third one apparently is not good, but I have the good version. I guess they re-edited it, and they have the death of Michael Corleone. It's that version or something like that. Apparently, it's a
mhm.
lot better than the theatrical cut they originally. So I'm like, all right, good thing I saved out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely think that like two plays off of one and it winds up. It's like the difference between Alien and Aliens, where you're like, wow, they're
Okay.
both really good, but two does feel a little bit better, but not without the presence of one.
Like more
Three,
grounded.
yeah, three is so incredibly bad that I'm not allowed to see it because my family is obsessed with it. So my dad has made me swear that I'll never see the third Godfather. There's only two, so I
I am
can't
kind of
speak to
worried
it.
now.
I can't
I
speak
am
to it. I'm sorry.
I am worried now.
He is an extremist, though, so take it with a grain
Okay.
of salt.
That makes sense then.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you
Uh,
love things and you hold it a little too tight.
Too tight. Way too tight. Let's
Well,
see. Okay.
I'm gonna just jump in with my number 10.
Let's
And I
do it.
wasn't sure I was gonna include this, but as I thought back on it, I do feel like this film is pretty fucking amazing, and it also has Patrick Stewart in a rarely aggressive role. I have Green Room from 2016 at my number 10.
That's not my number 10, but it's on my list.
It's on
I'm
the
not
list.
going
I
to tell you
figured.
where. I'm a big Anton Yelchin fan. I love that movie. And we just
Yeah.
watched it last week. Yeah, last week we watched it. Oh my God, I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah. It's it's incredibly compelling. It feels almost like a limited. It's like almost happens in the one or two rooms kind of
Yeah.
movie, but it's so fucking tense, and the performances are so palpable. And the I'm a big fan of always wanting to talk about the lighting, but like it's really dark and gritty and like
Yeah.
green and yeah.
It puts you in the situation of what would you do if this happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you think about it, like wondering, you sit there and wonder to yourself, if they didn't sing that song at the beginning to the Nazis people, would that ever happen?
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those questions. Like the prank built onto something that tragically happened while they were playing is just it's such a wild, and like you said, it's very intense and just it's gritty. It's very gritty,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know what's gonna happen next. Like I remember the first time I watched that, and when I'm not gonna give any spoilers away, but when such and such dies, like all these people, it's like you're not expecting that to happen. You're like, they're all gonna make it out. It's gonna be a happy ending. Nope, nope, not even
Yeah.
close.
You definitely don't expect the extremes to which it becomes so intense so fast, and there's such
Oh yeah,
high risks in what's going to happen with your characters.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it kind of is a script that you feel like, oh, I could guess what, and you're like, no, it's not at all what you could guess because it's not a regular like Tubi original. This is
no,
an A24 version of this horror story, and
yep,
that's why I have so much A24 horror on this list. I can't
oh
believe
yeah.
how much A24 horror I have on this list. They do other things, and yet
When I
they're willing
started,
to take big risks.
yeah, when I started watching A24, like with The Witch, I just thought they were just a horror company. I thought that's all they made was
Mhm.
horror films until I started seeing,
Mhm.
like The Spectacular Now with Miles Teller. Not
Mhm.
even close to a horror. Not even that's a little teen drama kind of. I guess what I would put. I don't even know.
Yeah, kind of
Um,
YA.
but it's like it's insane just the range of movies that this studio drops. It they cover everything. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things, which is Marcel the
Marcel the
Shell.
Shell.
Yeah.
With shoes on, that is on my list.
Ooh.
That's up there.
I've
Absolutely.
heard good things about it, and it's been on my list to watch. It's just trying to find the balance, because again, A24 has such a big catalog of movies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just trying to find the balance. All right, I can watch this one this time. Oh, am I feeling this one? No, but I'll go this one. I'll do that one another time. It's like it's so much. Their catalog is like it's not never ending, but it feels like it's never ending.
And especially some of them are like Marcel. This show, The Shoes On, is it's heartwarming, but it's
Yeah.
also emotionally difficult and a little like intensely devastating. So you do have to pace your ability to watch that kind of intensity
Hmm.
as much as you need to brace yourself for a film like Green Room. You can't just do all Green Room, otherwise you're like, for fuck's sake, I think I'm gonna
I
puke.
think I think my head hurts now.
What's your number 10?
My number 10, this might hurt a lot of people, but it's going to be Uncut Gems. Like,
Oh,
I love Uncut Gems, but it's definitely, and that one was lower until I started doing my list more. Then I was like, this one deserves that spot. This one I'm going to have to put up here. I love the fact that I wouldn't even really call it a serious role from Adam Sandler because it's still technically more of a dark comedy, but it is one of the best roles I've seen him play. And I think the ending to that movie had my jaw on the floor because I was not expecting that to happen. I was like, oh no, he got away with it. We're good. Nope. I was like, oh my God. Like, holy shit, did that really just happen?
yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely number 10 for me though.
Yeah, and the directors, the Sadfi brothers,
Yeah.
are pretty astounding. If you Good Times, also an A24, really intensely paced. Same sort of situation where you're like, could we possibly? Are we gonna get away with this? Is that
Hmm.
even what this is about? It's funny. If people are upset that that's your number 10, they'll be upset that it's not even on my list. I Sorry, guys. I love when Adam Sandler does what I call the Sadler verse, which is when we're seeing a kind of sad Adam Sandler. Um, and I'm actually editing an episode I'm doing on my podcast, What If I Don't Like It, which is a show where I get artists to come in and watch a movie that they haven't seen but think they might not like and talk about it. I know we're going to get you on there in a little while as
One of
well.
these days.
One of my friends, actually, I got two people together to talk about Spaceman with Adam Sandler because when he does stuff that is unconventional, people feel really weird about it. But he's also
Hmm.
the most well-paid actor to
Yeah.
this year. He made tons of money, so whether you like him or not, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
He's making that
And in
money.
and in Uncut Gems, he's really acting quite well. He's so intense and loud,
Hmm.
and I did like it. It's just not on my top 10.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah.
guys.
Oh no, that I understand that.
Mhm.
One of the ones I wanted on the list is not on the list, and it's one that I mean it's gonna be mentioned later on, but it's definitely one that I wish did better, but I still like the
Mm.
story. I'll get
Yeah,
into
oh
that
my
when we.
god. I have ones above 5 where I'm like, "No, I have the letterbox for this. I know that the average review is not as high as mine, but I
But these
still
are
love
movies
the
that
shit
we
out of it."
enjoy too. So that
Yeah,
I mean
exactly.
that's the fun thing about movies and being a
Mhm.
movie goer, movie lover is that everybody's gonna have a different opinion.
No,
That's what brings us
absolutely.
all together.
Yeah, and there was somebody who recently did an interesting like TikTok video about the concept of having multiple ratings or dissecting the rating between, is this quantifiably a good film? Is it shot well? Is the pacing good? Is the lighting? All of that shit. Versus, is this enjoyable? Because those are
Yeah.
not totally always related.
Oh yeah, a movie could be shot well, scripted well, but not good. I
Yeah.
mean, it could be either slow paced, too slow for people's liking, too fast paced for people's liking.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, look at Titanic. Titanic is a beautiful, wonderful movie, but there are people out there that probably know it's a good movie, but they just don't like it themselves because it's not their style.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then all of the money and all of the heart that went into getting that particular film done is often what people talk about when they like a movie, when they laud a movie. Like people talking about Monkey Man right now. Like, look at
Yeah.
the lengths to which the director went to get that movie made. And
Hmm.
you can also say that of Titanic, but people don't want to put their money down on something like that because it does make it's kind of
Monkey Man is just incredible.
Monkey Man is
I saw it. I
amazing.
saw. I don't know if I told you. I saw it again on Monday.
Oh, that's awesome. I do need to see it again almost
Uh,
immediately as well.
I could, like I tell people, I could see why people didn't like it because of the whole shaky camera.
Mhm.
But to me,
Ah,
that just makes it more intense. It puts me more into the movie. I'm like, this dude's whooping some ass. So, like, I'm not looking for far back angles. I mean, I know that's like the right shots to make, but I felt more in depth with the movie because it was close up and shaky camera than I would have if it was far back and non shaky camera.
You know, I didn't even find the camera to be that shaky, and I literally have a neurological disorder where if the camera is too shaky, I start to throw up and I go blind in one eye and I can't talk
So kind of
anymore.
like
So
vertigo.
yeah, it's like it's a migraine type stroke.
Oh,
So
oh.
when people say shaky cam, I'm like, guys, it didn't have shaky cam. I watched the whole movie. I'm fine.
Right?
And also, I felt like the closeness of the shots was particularly fitted to the story. We're
Yeah.
very close. We're very intense. We're in there in the fight in the ring with him. I yeah, I mean, it's not going to be everyone's liking because it is an action movie, but I
Yeah.
did really I enjoyed it. It was definitely to my liking.
Dev Dev Patel, man, he's about to become unstoppable. He
I do feel so.
he's
Yeah,
give it the next 10 years and that man is gonna blow up even more than he's already been.
awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait.
All right, so what's your number 9?
Moonlight, also 2016, same year that Green Room came out. It was a pretty good year for A24. I mean, this is the one that winds up historically winning the Oscar in that like La La Land. Oh no, wait, Moonlight.
Yeah.
Like, it just really, it was so unique as far as the story that wound up being shot in that kind of way that I was so utterly moved by it. It was one of those rare situations where, like, wow, I find this incredibly moving and really well shot, and everyone else is also into it. This is getting it's so exciting when A24 manages to get these distributed out so widely that everyone can see them and everyone can talk about them, and it still feels like a secret little art house film that you found.
It's a love story, but not a love story at the same time in a way. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I pointed it. That's how I found it
Mm-hmm.
was like it's a story about a man who came out, and trying to find its place, but at the same time trying to find that person that helped him realize who he really was inside. And I
Mm-hmm.
really did enjoy it. I will say though, I didn't like it the first time I watched it. I felt like
Okay.
the first time I watched it, I was like, I didn't see all the hype around it, if that makes
Mm.
sense. I
Mhm.
was like, it won all the Oscars, and I was like, okay, this has to be a good movie, right? I mean, like what we were talking about earlier, like it has to be a good movie. It won all these Oscars, and then I watched it. I was like, I don't see the point in it. And
Mm.
then I rewatched it doing our A24 build up, and man, it's a beautiful movie, and it's so well, like I guess you because you love lighting. I think the lighting in that movie is fucking gorgeous.
Really transcendent,
And
yeah.
the funniest thing is that's my number 9 also.
Oh, yes, we aligned on it. Awesome. Yeah,
Like
I just, man, that's so funny.
it's a beautiful story, and
Mhm.
I think more people should branch out and watch that. You got these people that movies like that which suck is that they're really great movies, but because of the themes of the movie, it gets
Okay.
swept under people's radar because they're like, I'm not watching that movie about two gay guys or something like, and it's so messed up. Like one of
Yeah.
my favorite movies I just watched recently, which was All of Us Strangers, broke me eternally inside. Like that movie broke me
I
down.
still have to see that one.
It's
It's on my list, but I know I don't. I'm like, am I ready to be broken down?
yeah, bring like 3 boxes of tissues because you're gonna need it.
Oh, jeez.
But man, and I got saddened the other day because they said that they're not releasing it on physical. So
Oh,
that
oh, bums. I will admit that's one of the joys of being a SAG actor
that
is
was
you get.
beautifully acted. Oh,
Oh, sorry. Wow, weird. The audio misaligned on us there. You still there? Wow, weird. The audio
hang on.
misaligned. Ooh. He'll have to join. We'll have to bring him back in. Maybe we can bring him in as a host this time and get it properly done up. Nope, I still can't. Let's try that again.
Somebody tried calling me and it
Ah.
messes the whole audio. Okay.
Somebody said it was the eclipse. Yeah, it probably. Did you buy a weird plant yesterday that you do have the talk to me hand behind you, so maybe that.
I don't know what you're talking
Wonderful,
about. But
wonderful. We
what
were
were we
saying
talking
of
about?
Moonlight. We were talking about
Oh,
Moonlight, and
yeah.
I'm lucky that I got to see it before all the hype, so I saw it without the hype. I just watched it as a particular film, and then you were saying something about people not wanting to watch movies that where the theme is
With
about
the theme like
couples.
that, and it,
Yeah.
yeah, and it sucks because like movies like that, I think more people should watch movies like that because it gives a representation of what they go through everyday
Hmm.
life. And it's not always good. Not every single movie is just like that, but people are just so shadowed by everything and they're just so scared to branch out. But
Hmm.
when you branch out, sometimes branching out, yeah, it can be bad and it's not what you want it to be. But also branching out and doing different things and watching different stuff helps open your mind up to more things. And man, I love it.
Yeah, I do feel like that's what A24 does really well because we think about other production houses that you know of by name, and you can come up with a couple of them, and like Blumhouse is probably the first one that comes to mind when people think of another one, and that's specifically one genre of film. But A24 tries to give us all genre of
Hmm.
films, and in that way, you can really expand your genre by being like your repertoire by being like, okay, I'm gonna just try this film
Yeah.
because it's being vetted by A24, and they, of course they do miss every once in a while, but they usually miss at least in an interesting way.
Yeah, and it's never usually like when they miss like, oh, this movie just flat out sucked, like it's boring, the
Yeah.
script was awful. No, it's usually like, okay, that movie was a little too weird for me. Like Beau is Afraid. I don't know if you've seen Beau is Afraid yet, but that movie is weird.
It is on my list of
It
tops.
is a very weird one, and it's not on my list. But it is definitely an interesting one. But that's also Ari Aster. Ari Aster is a very hit and miss because he has such a strange mind, and his
Hmm.
movies are either you're gonna hit with them, or you're just gonna be like, "Yeah, that's not my cup of tea, man."
Yeah, I do feel like if our lists start to diverge, the key theme will be that I love when a movie gets particularly weird. The weirder, the better. Stopping at maybe like El Topo, that might be a little bit too weird for
I don't
me.
think I've ever
I'm
seen
I'm
El
seeing in the
Topo.
chats again, and I want to thank Fiction Fixation for telling people what we're doing. We are again ranking our
Oh,
top A24 films, and we are at well, we just did 9. We both aligned on Moonlight. So I'm gonna introduce my number 8 because it's on theme. It isn't Ari Aster. It's Midsommar.
that's not my number 8, but it is on my list.
I think everybody does have a line for weird. Someone, Christy in the chats is saying she has a line for how weird is too weird. Kota,
Hmm.
what do you feel like your line for too weird might be?
Oh man, like so I guess that brings me to like Saltburn. The
Yes.
more I thought about Saltburn afterwards, though, like as far as like story wise, I liked it because I felt like what Barry Keoghan's character was doing was so fucking smart, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think about it. But holy shit, does that movie really test my weirdness button? And I would have normally back in the day when I didn't really give movies a shot, like if it was too weird, I was turning that off. That bathtub scene, I would have turned that off right then and there. Nope, this isn't for me. And I kept going. And I'm kind of glad I kept going, but at the same time, I'm like, well, that grave scene was a bit weird.
That was improvised. That was improvised. I recently found out that
What?
that was improvised on the set. The actor came up with
Fucking
that.
Barry Keoghan, man. What the
Yeah.
hell?
And someone in the chat points out that like there's a threshold for their capacity for gore when it's just for the sake of gore, and I think that
Yeah.
that's also true here, where we're like weirdness needs to be contextual, and the bathtub scene in Saltburn, as weird and as gross as it is still lends itself to the story that is trying to be
Hmm.
told, and that's why it works versus just being like, oh, that's just gross to be gross. You're just
Yeah.
trying to get me to puke here.
From what I read, something like the bathtub scene was supposed to represent him drinking up the rich kind of thing, like
Hmm.
him
Hmm.
absorbing.
Hmm.
I can't remember Jacob's
Felix.
character's name. Felix. There we go. It was like him absorbing his his essence
Essence.
in a way.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like when I found that out, like I said, the more I thought about it afterwards and more I read into it, and I was like, fuck, I like this movie. Like I didn't like it at first. I was like, okay, this is like a 2.5 out of 5. But then like the more I thought about it, I was like, oh man, this is a solid 4. This is a
Hmm.
solid 4 for me.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It really does. Like, so it does use those weird scenes to get to the dark ending that they're
mhm,
going for. It reminded me of Kind Hearts and Coronets, which is a really old film with Alec Guinness in it. Has a similar premise. This person is trying to infiltrate a rich family and kill each individual person off so that they will win the money, but that's because they're the last surviving family
yeah,
member. And it's impressive, like the dark nature. And they just kind of flipped it, and they went with this in such a literally intensely physical way. It
yeah,
definitely was compelling. Whether you liked it or not, you wanted to talk about it. And
yep,
that, in and of itself, is really, really impressive.
yeah.
And that's kind of what I have with Midsommar. Like, a lot of people were, because it's Ari Aster, they weren't totally on board with it. But, like, you started seeing people making little tiny bear cakes with Barbies inside of them. Like, everybody got on
Dressing up
board.
as her in the flower, making the face, the
Yep.
crying face for Halloween.
It was part of the zeitgeist, whether you
Hmm.
wanted it to or not. And that's what's impressive about A24 is they'll take tiny films and they'll predict what's going to be part of culture and part of what gets referenced.
And now that memes and stuff are and gifs are such a
Mhm.
big thing and they're constantly shared with each other, those really publicize and build up the rise of a movie also because people are like,
Mhm.
I gotta see the movie what this gif is from, or I gotta see the
Mhm.
movie where this meme is from. And the Midsommar, her crying scene made one of the best memes out there for the longest time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And it was literally groundbreaking in one of the first films to be so intensely sinister, but so utterly shot during the day.
Yeah.
Such bright scenes with such horrific context. Like, ooh, okay. And that's why I love it so much. That's kind of what I love about Ari Aster is whether you like it or not, he's like, I'm gonna try something weird and want to see
We're
if
gonna
it
see if
works.
it's like throwing a noodle to see if it sticks to the wall, if it's done or
Mhm.
not. He's like, I'm gonna stick it, and if it sticks, we're gonna do it. Like,
But I mean, like he's got Scorsese in his corner. That
yeah,
that
that
says
alone right there,
something,
yeah.
right?
Like,
Uh,
and then I mean, he's very intricate and very smart with his storytelling. Most of his movies, like Midsommar, you're gonna know the whole movie if you pay attention to the background in the first three
yes,
minutes of the movie because it tells
yes.
you the whole plot right there. And when I saw that and I found that out after I watched it, I was blown away. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I thought they were just fucking pictures on the wall. Like, nope. And
No.
I thought that was so genius. And
Yeah.
but you definitely have to let me know what you think of Bo is Afraid when you watch that one, because
Oh, I did. It's actually
okay,
it's my number 7. I have him ass to ass, but we're gonna skip over your. What was your number 8?
my number 8 is actually one that a lot of people did not like, and I understand why they didn't like it. But I really resonated and loved the story. Is The Whale. I
Oh
really
yeah.
really liked The
Mhm.
Whale. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't want to see Brendan Fraser in a fat suit," or like it's. I didn't care about that. It was the story that I really enjoyed, and it's a heartbreaking story. But that's my man Brendan Fraser's callback. I mean, it helped that got him a 7 minute standing ovation,
Mhm.
and he deserved it, and he deserves a comeback. And I think The Whale was a great movie for him to come back to.
That's awesome. I actually have not seen that one yet.
Oh, it is a very sad. It's very sad, but it's got a lot of heart, if that makes sense. But it takes a minute for the heart to come out, if that makes
Mm.
a little bit more
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. Well, that's kind of what I like about Ari Aster is it takes a moment for his horror to come out, and I don't want something that Although sometimes it is fun to get hit in the face the second you come out the gate, which I feel like
Oh
Monkey
yeah.
Man does. But I do like when people bother to build up to something, especially with that amount of emotional
I love slow
resonance.
burns. If you're
Yeah.
meaning like kind of like a slow burn start, I love that.
Hmm.
I love a slow burn as long as when it gets to the topic of what it's trying to say, it tells it well. I don't want to sit there and be in a slow movie for an hour and then the last half hour is like doesn't give me any explanation. Unless it's a movie built on you got to think about it or you got to rewatch it or you just got to look into it. I'm okay with that. But if it's got I slow burns have to have exactly need a big payoff. That is
Yeah.
very
Well,
true.
you're slowly burning this. You're gonna like either wind up with something on fire or something boiling over.
Yep.
I did a video a couple days ago about the idea that I think people use the term slow burn incorrectly a lot. I think when they're saying slow burn to me, what they're trying to say is that like it's mostly boring, but at the end something kind of interesting happens, and you're like, no, 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 it has to lead up to a good ending. It just can't be shit and then something
Yeah. Yeah,
happens.
you can't yeah, exactly. You can't just like throw a bunch of boring scenes together and then like throw a 5 minute climax, but the climax isn't really a climax. It just leads you to wondering what could have been if they took their time or if they told the story better.
Yes,
Like
yes.
it's it's all about storytelling these days.
People in the chats are saying immaculate could kind of be a slow burn, although may not have totally paid off. Have you seen that one?
I want to. So,
I
so
haven't seen
my
it yet
theater
either.
lied to me and said that it was not. They were like, I called them up and I was like, "Are you guys gonna get Immaculate in theaters next week?" And they're like, "Immaculate? I never heard of that. We have Imaginary." And I was like, "I don't care about that crap movie. I don't need it. I want Immaculate." They're like, "Yeah, we're not gonna get it." So then I went and saw Ghostbusters 2 weeks later, and lo and behold, Immaculate's playing at my theater. And then I go back the next week to go watch it, and it's not playing.
Oh, limited engagement. It must have been that good, huh?
Oh my god.
I've heard some good reviews. Anything like that is going to have a particular audience. I can see.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you got Cindy Sweeney. I mean, you can't
Yeah,
mess with that.
absolutely. So, what's your number 8?
Uh, what? No. We're on your number 7.
Oh, I did. Beau is Afraid.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. So my number 7 is actually Midsommar. So that's
Doing the
my number
dance.
7.
Ooh, ooh.
It was higher on the list, but I've
Mhm.
switched it with something else that I watched last second last night.
Ah,
So, yep.
ooh, okay. Interesting. I'm curious about that. Yeah, I went with Beau is Afraid because uh, I was really astonished at the particular pacing, the way that they put the whole insanity together. The fact that
Oh,
it
it's
doesn't,
insanity, all right.
it literally makes you feel like you yourself are having a panic attack,
Yeah.
but it like also verges on being so insanely jokey. Like at one point in time, his dad is a giant dick, and like what a joke to make.
That's the part where
Like,
I was sat there was just like, so we're going there. Like
that was my favorite part of the movie because the person I was there to see it with leaned over to me and went, "Ah, shit, my dad's a giant dick too," and I was like, "Yes, thank you."
my dad walked out, so I don't know if he's a dick or not, but I mean, he walked out, so I mean, he's a giant dick
Probably,
too.
probably.
He's a big schlong.
But it just took such big swings, and even just in the single sequence where he's having that play where he's watching his life be performed in front of him, it is astonishing what they do with the theatrics.
Yeah.
I was so entranced.
I mean, and give you have to give Joaquin Phoenix the credit for that movie because
Oh yeah.
if he played someone in like I feel like the Joker role was preparing him for Beau is Afraid
Mhm.
because it was like taking the Joker's insanity and
Mm,
dialing it up by like
definitely.
and then adding a shit ton of anxiety into it. And that was Joaquin Phoenix's character, and I loved it. I again, the movie is very weird. It's not on my list. It's a very weird movie, but I respect the shit out of it because again, Ari Aster is that guy that's gonna be like, this might not work for some people, but I am going to throw it in there and try to make it work for me at least. And I'm like, I give you got to give the credit where the credit's due.
Yeah. And it really reminded me of stuff that Terry Gilliam does, who's also another director that takes really big chances. It reminded me a
Yeah.
lot of Brazil, and that like just bottled insanity and anxiety. And like nobody really wants to sit through a movie that makes you feel like you're having a panic attack, except stupid film nerds who are just like, wow, look what he did. So I understand that this is a movie geared directly towards me when
hmm
I say that I loved it.
When I saw it in theaters, at least 10 people walked out of theater before it was even over because it went right when it started really kicking into gear. Everybody, you just see everybody get up. They're like, nope, this isn't. Because when you watch the trailer for that movie and then you watch the movie, the trailer does not tell you
You
anything
need the
about what you're
trailer
about to
for it.
experience.
Yeah, like it's impossible to correctly represent that movie without just
Yeah.
being like, dude, it's like taking too much Adderall. I don't know what to tell you
Yep.
besides that.
It's like taking a lot of Adderall and having a high anxiety attack that you can't get rid of. that about sums up that 3 hour movie right there.
The bathtub scene, without ruining it, that scene alone is just like, what?
Yeah, that ooh, man, yeah.
So, what's your number seven?
So we're on number 7 or number 6?
Oh, we're going to number six. Yes.
Okay.
Um.
Um my number 6 is Skin. Have you seen
Oh,
Skin?
I haven't seen Skin, but I do intend
So
to see it.
I really love that movie because I'm a big true story person. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that this guy went through what he did by being, he was in a neo-Nazi clan
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, and this guy helps him out. Like pretty much, this African American starts telling him like, these people aren't good for you. Like you should probably get out. And he's like, nah, fuck you, blah blah. And he's a cop, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I can get you in a witness protection. All you got to do is just give up everybody that is doing bad. We need your leader, is what we need. And he's like, I'm not gonna do that. And then he meets a girl, and then they fall in love, and he's finally decides like, all right, I need to get out of this because they're doing stuff that I don't want to do anymore at all. And so, and this man is covered like 98% of his body in tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I remember correctly, they said it took him 4 years of laser removal surgery to remove all tattoos. And you can't even tell that he hasn't ever had a tattoo, especially, and he had a big one on his face and everything.
Oh,
Can't even tell. And it's a really good movie.
that's insane. I can't believe I haven't even really heard of
Yeah.
it.
And
Like I have
I'm
it on
a
my list, but I'm like,
I like Jamie Bell. Jamie Bell is an incredible actor and highly
mm,
underrated in my opinion. And he's the
mm,
main guy that plays in that movie, and he does knocks that role right out of the park, hands
wow.
down. Yeah.
What year did that get made?
Uh, 2017. Hang on.
2017.
Was it 2017? 2019 actually. So it was a
Oh,
lot.
so
It
the
was,
same year as Midsommar.
yep. But
Yeah,
this one, I think this one, I don't know if this one had like, if it was like wide release or if it was just limited release.
mm.
Because I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it because I saw a clip of it online shortly after it came out on physical, and I was like, I have to see that movie. Like that. It reminds me. It's like it kind of gives me like American History X vibes, but in an
Yeah,
A24 true story way, and
yeah.
it's incredible. I can't wait for you to watch it. Like because it's
Oh,
really good.
totally. All
Yeah.
right.
What is your number 6? Wait.
My number
Yeah.
six is Talk to Me, which I saw because you told me to see it.
Oh man. Yep. Ah,
It's so
every,
good.
it's so good.
And to be the directorial debut of the, I'm not even sure how to pronounce their last name, like Filippo brothers, the
Filippo.
Michael and Daniel,
Yeah,
like those
they.
guys, like you come out the gate with that, too
If
cool.
you should actually go check out their YouTube channel. They have a
Yeah,
lot of videos on there, and
yeah.
they. My favorite video will always be when it was them messing around with lightsabers in Walmart, and then all of a sudden you got Harry Potter and Spider Man, and they're all fighting. It's the greatest video ever.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
yeah,
think that
right,
that's a
right off
lot
the
of
bat.
why horror is so compelling for so many filmmakers is that like it's the entry point.
Yeah,
Like it's the first thing that you do. You make these silly little videos and so like you want to like also join in and saying like this was great, and it was from someone who was just us.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then they had their friends in it too. Now that was really
Hmm.
what was really cool because the guy that plays, I don't remember his name in the movie. He's not the main character, but he's the one. He's one of the other ones that has the hand. That it's my hand. Blah blah. It's the main big kind of buff guy. That's one of their best friends. He's in a couple of their videos on YouTube as well. I noticed
Nice.
that after the fact. I was
That's
like, oh,
awesome.
huh. But yeah,
Okay.
talk to me. Ah, love that movie. I can't.
What's
I
your
can
name?
never.
No,
Oof.
yeah, I'm super jealous that you have the official hand behind you.
It took
I'm
me
not gonna
4 months
lie.
to decide to get it. It was like, do I want to spend the $140 on it? Yeah, I
So
do.
cool. So cool.
My wait, we're on five,
Number
right?
6. You didn't give me 6 yet, I don't think so.
No, six was Skin.
Oh, 6 was good. Okay, I did 6 first. So we're on number 5. Yeah.
Okay,
Going right through.
number five, I have the Iron Claw.
Oh, look,
It you
I
forgot it,
haven't
didn't
seen
you?
it yet. Haven't
Oh,
seen it yet.
bring the tissues. You're gonna need them.
Is it
It is a.
streaming yet?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
know it just came out on physical.
Oh man.
Um,
That must be why I haven't
But
seen it
if
yet because it's been
anything,
out.
if it goes on anywhere, it will be on HBO Max when it does.
Okay.
Because I know HBO Max has that deal with A24 right now where they have exclusive streaming rights to their newer films.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Iron Claw is a tragic story though, but it was higher on my list until my only complaint with it is that they take out one of the brothers. They completely like don't put him in the movie because it was
Oh.
going to make the movie even more sadder and the length of the movie would have been more. So they combined his story with one of the other brothers' story. That's the only thing I was just like, I wish they would have added the brother, but the movie is phenomenal but it is a very tragic story.
Mm-hmm.
And especially so I grew up watching wrestling. I don't watch wrestling all too much anymore, but I grew up watching it and I knew who they were, especially from being from Texas. You're going to hear about them. And so I was blown away. Me and my girlfriend went and saw it. I think Christmas Eve, we went and saw it in theaters.
That's
It
awesome.
was
Yeah,
good.
I do hear it's got some stellar performances. I was I didn't go and see it in theaters because as a SAG actor, I get the all of the films that are nominated for SAG awards. I get screeners for it. I often get DVD screeners, hard physical copy of them.
Yeah.
And I was so thoroughly expecting Iron Claw to get nominated that
And
I
it
was just like,
never.
oh wait, it didn't. It didn't get nominated at all. And so I missed my chance to see it. And I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, that movie and like the one movie I talked about earlier, All of Us Strangers,
Hmm.
both of those films were snubbed for awards because
Yeah.
they deserved some recognition from the academies.
Mm,
It it just sucks. It really does.
mm. My
Okay, so what's
my
your five?
number 5 is not nearly as like weighty, and my number 5 is Swiss Army Man.
I love that movie. It's not on my list. It's on my honorable mentions, but because that movie again, another weird one,
So
but it
weird.
fits and it works so well, and it's like you can't help but have a good time watching it.
Mhm. And from Daniel Kwan and Daniel Schneinhardt, who are like they're the everything everywhere at once
Yeah.
all at once directors. They are like so beautifully weird. And I only saw this film because Super Movie Buff 64 told me to see it like on my like first month on this app, and I put it in and I was like, I didn't know that they could make a movie specifically for me. Like it felt so directly targeted to me. It's so weird, and it's starring two of my favorite actors, and like,
Paul Dano, he I'm so happy that he's finally getting the recognition, but I felt he deserved it a long time ago. And
oh
it
god,
sucks
yes,
that people are just now figuring out like Paul
yes,
Dano's a badass. Like
yes. Oh,
uh,
Neophyte Reviews has joined us in the chats. Thank you for joining us. Hello, good to see
Neo.
you. Good to see you, Neo. Yeah,
Um
I want more for both of those actors who really do like to embody
yeah.
being in weird stuff.
Daniel Radcliffe, he has branched out so much from Harry Potter and I love to see it. The only one I haven't finished of his movies is I couldn't get into the Weird Al movie though. I could
Really?
not.
Oh, I
I
so
try,
love
and I
it.
love stupid comedy, but I
Uh,
felt that one was just like,
too much.
okay, what? Like, I get it. Like, I think I made it like 15 minutes total into that movie. Like, when he starts beating up the salesperson, I was like, what is going on? I need to give
Hmm.
it another chance because I
Yeah.
was like, I know if I could push myself through it, I might like it. But it's just like, I get there and I'm like, I can't take this movie seriously at all.
You're not supposed to. No, I
I
definitely.
know that's the point, but it's like in my head, I'm like, can't take it seriously. Turn that shit off.
Well, it's almost like Evil Dead for me. Like there are points when I want to watch an Evil Dead style camp romp, and there are points where I'm like,
Yeah,
I can't do this right now.
I rewatched Evil Dead, the original one, about
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, and I was like, man, I love practical effects, but holy shit, like
The guy is obviously holding his own hand.
it's
There's
just like,
practical
oh
effects,
my
and then there's
god.
what that guy is doing.
But
Um,
I love it so much.
yeah,
Like
I do.
it's a pivotal horror movie in the horror community. Like
Oh,
it's what
absolutely.
that movie gave footing to a lot of films, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's incredible. I love it.
I I once was walking down the street. I live near Western Mass, and this is in a town in Western Mass. And I was approaching a crosswalk, and I looked to my right, and the person standing there was Bruce Campbell, who is the lead actor in Evil Dead, and completely shocked. I find myself that whenever I meet somebody famous and I'm not on a set, I forget how to behave, and all I can think of to do is to tell them their own name. I also wound up shouting, "Oh my God, you're Neil Patrick Harris" to Neil Patrick Harris when he was just standing around being a human. Not a good thing to do. But I looked up and I said, "Oh my God, you're Bruce Campbell." And he took sunglasses out of his inside pocket and put them on while he said, "Somebody's gotta be."
That reminds me so much of I ran into Cuba Gooding Jr. and when I was living out in Austin, Texas. Me and my buddies we were walking back from the library going to the car.
Mhm.
And I don't so Austin, Texas, it's weird. So their downtown is it's kind of like I'm not gonna say segregated because that's like a weird word to use,
Mhm.
but it's like so one block is like rich like restaurants and shopping area. Then you
Mhm.
got like the coffee block, and then you have like the club block and all this. And so while we were walking down, Cuba Gooding Jr. and his wife started. Well, his wife at the time, I don't think they're married anymore. I'm not sure. We're
Mhm.
walking out of a restaurant, and I'm like, dude, that's fucking Cuba Gooding Jr. I was like, there ain't no fucking way, dude. And I was like, nah, maybe just a guy that looks like Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
And somebody yells out in the restaurant, later, Cuba. And he's all like, oh, yeah. And I was like, holy fucking shit, it's Cuba Gooding Jr. So he's walking towards us. We're walking towards him. And I'm like, I got to say something, like, show me the money. No, I can't say that. I
No,
was like,
don't.
oh, man. I was like, oh, man. And so as he's walking past, I didn't say fucking nothing. And then my friend's girlfriend goes, oh my God, it is you. And he turns around and he goes, I say that every morning I look in the mirror. And they continue to walk off. And I was like, what a douchebag, but that was so fucking cool.
That was so
Like,
cool.
it's like, what a dick, but I fucking respect it. Like,
Good job, well done, sir. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, this must happen to you like every 10 minutes of your life. I'm glad you came up with something cool to say because it's fucking cool.
I was like, oh man. I was like, if I get so like starstruck when I meet a band. Like in this band, might not even sell out stadiums or anything, but I'm just like, oh man, it's awesome to meet you, man. Let's take a picture. And like, I don't know why. I just get so nervous because I'm like, man, I don't want to say the wrong fucking thing.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. I feel like I have two modes. Like sometimes I'll stand in for someone really, really famous. I'll stand in for like the one or the two on the call sheet, and I'll just be like, professional. Don't talk to unless you're being spoken to. Just do what they and like you just completely shut down. You're just like,
just turn it to an AI.
yeah, like it's just I don't want to be fired and I don't want to get in trouble. I'm fine. And you're just there to like make sure that they know what the lighting looks like. You're just walking through for them, so you're not doing anything important. Like, well, you are doing something important, but you're not doing something like incredible while the screen is running. So
Right?
you shouldn't take yourself too seriously.
Oh man,
But yeah,
I wish I kept up with it. But I wanted to do directing for a while, and then I was like,
yeah.
nope, I don't think because like my grandmother at the time, she was she was not a nice person, so she got in my head and was just pretty much like, "Oh, my friend's grandson graduated from film school and he is doing nothing with his life." And I was like, "Well, there goes that idea."
And I
And
also think a lot of filmmakers don't go to film school. Let's be
yeah,
honest. Kevin Smith didn't go to film school.
yeah, look at him. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I didn't go to film school. I'm a director. I'm working on my next short film. Like,
When
I
when
do. You
when are
can
we
learn about
when
it.
are we expecting that?
I've joined the Just Scare Me Collective Round 23. I think I've talked to you about them in the past. They're the group out in Burbank, California that operates out of the comic shop Blast from the Past. It's only horror themed. 30 directors enter each round and agree that they have 60 days to make a 6-minute or shorter horror film. And if they don't, they owe the group $100. So it's like betting to make yourself do it. It will premiere in Burbank on the 8th of June, so I have until then to finish it.
Oh shit! I can't. Oh man, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot it
Ooh,
vertical so I can throw it up on TikTok
there you go.
after it premieres. So you will be able to definitely see it, and it's going to be comedy horror.
Oh,
Gonna
oh
try
yeah.
comedy. Gonna try it. We'll see.
Now I can't wait. Now I need to see it.
As I talk about how much I love weird stuff. Yeah,
Right.
I'm using my house is a bit haunted and very strange, so I'm using it as a jumping off point.
There you go. I mean, you could still make a weird comedy horror.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. As weird and as comedy as I can get. So, which explains why Swiss Army Man is my number 5 on this list.
Oh shit. All right.
All right.
So number 4. All right. So this is where I originally had Midsummer. Um and I replaced it with my last minute watch of Ex Machina.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, that is, you'll find that higher up on my list. But
I
yes.
fucking the funniest thing is I've owned the movie since it came out and I
Mhm.
never watched it. I kept looking past it for some reason. I'm like, "Ah, I'm not in the mood for that right now. I'm not in the mood for that right now." Last night I was just like, I'm in the fucking mood for that right now. And man, what a fucking movie.
Mhm.
Like the blend of AI with just the mind fuckery of is this really happening, and then is this the test, or is
Mhm.
this the test, or is this the test? Like, it messed with me so much, and I loved every single second of it. And that
Mhm.
movie, the way it ended, I would have loved to have seen a second one. I'm
Yeah,
kind of glad we didn't get one, but I would have loved to see one.
and it's so timely because that's Alex Garland, who is
Yeah,
just about to have Civil War come out. He's
I've
an
heard good
incredibly,
things.
yeah,
I've
and of
heard
course
really.
A24 again.
Yep,
That's
again.
that's 2 days. That's on the 12th, so you'll be able to start seeing that very soon. Um, yeah, for me, you can assuredly find that I will like a movie if it's wacky and strange. But the other premise that I love is AI and any kind of like, what is it to be human? What is consciousness? Anything Philip K. Dick ish. You're
Yeah.
gonna get me with that hardcore. And Ex Machina. It's not just the story that you're seeing; it's the stories that you then ask yourself, the questions that
Hmm.
you then ask yourself, that really makes it hit so hard.
Because I mean, when they're trying to figure out, okay, you're gonna test this AI, and if you don't feel like you're talking to an AI and you feel like you're talking to a real person, then the test is passed. That
Mhm.
is terrifying because it makes you think, like, man, like technology has come such a long way in the last 20 years, and it just makes you think, like, maybe at one point, like, I talked to an AI, who knows, like, you don't know. And
Mhm.
that's what really toys with the little brain seeds inside the head, like,
Yeah.
okay.
I I used I used to be the person that you would call if you needed assistance with your cannabis products in a like 5-state area. I was like the customer service for a multi-state dispensary. And that meant that everybody who called me was usually a little bit high.
Speaking of
And
which, no, I'm just kidding.
right.
Right, just
um
yeah,
you got
you
it
got
right.
a large piece.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
But the result was they always like 25% of the people I spoke to thought I was an automated, like thought I was AI.
I can
And there would
see
be
it. It's the voice.
It's the I know it's too
You have such
clear.
a straight forward low tone voice.
Hmm.
Like if you wanted to pull off like if you were to do that AI bullshit that people do on lives, you could fucking pull it off.
Yeah, and I would sometimes mess with people, and sometimes people would just be like, "No, you have to say a dirty word to me now, though, so that I know." And I'm like, "I'm fine." Like it would just get so ridiculous how many times I'd have to prove that I wasn't a computer while just trying to talk to a human being. I'm trying to help you ultimately just open your package so you can get what you purchased. Like, huh. So anytime people are asking or have a movie about what is AI, what isn't AI, I'm like, I feel that because I myself have had to prove that I was human.
Like am I it's like those are you a robot test
Yeah.
type of
I
shit.
can tell what is a bridge and is not a bridge very
Right?
easily.
Have you ever failed one of those and you're like, fuck, they know I'm a fake? Like I've done that before where like I like click all the stoplights and I'll miss one. I'm like, shit, but then they'll pass me and I'm like, I outsmarted you. Like
This one does it to me with the like push the puzzle
yeah, the
piece
little
in, and
puzzle
I'll
piece.
try and do it really fast and I'll miss, and they'll be like, that's okay, try
The
again.
first time I did that, I did it really fast and I missed and I said, oh, I thought I just had to swipe it really fast. I was like, oh shit.
I think doing it wrong is how it knows you're not AI.
Yeah, I was like, oh well, yeah.
Oh, so my number four is Marcel the Shell with shoes on.
I can't wait
Yeah.
to watch that movie.
No,
I'm really. I heard
it's
it's sad. Is it
it
sad?
is
Don't.
sad. It is a bit
Okay.
sad. It is a
So
little
I need
bit sad.
tissues.
You're gonna need tissues. I think if you've recently had a death in the family, it might not be the
Ooh.
best time to watch this particular film. But it is as heartwarming as it is sad. It was also filmed by Jenny Slate and the director uh, Dean Flesher Camp were married at the time, and then they were actively going through a divorce while
Oh
this
no
was being
shit.
filmed. And it's about a guy who's going through a divorce, and that's why he's living in an Airbnb that Marcel happens to live in as well.
No
So there's
shit.
like a lot of that real tension in there, but it does wind up producing something that's incredibly beautiful.
Wow. So did they like? So did they add their? Are they adding their real life experiences into the movie, like the story, or is it just a coincidence?
It actually was a coincidence because it got
Damn.
written and put together before they wound up
Oof.
deciding to get divorced. But the way that it wound up being shot, the scheduling, they decided to get divorced and then they had to film this thing
Damn.
together.
Makes you wonder. I wonder if they were like sitting there, like, yeah, I made a movie one time. It's cursed. It ruined my marriage. Like oh fuck.
Jenny Slate has said in interviews since she's been remarried, she has a kid, she's all happy now.
Okay, well that's
So
good.
is Dean. That like this was one of the most beautiful things she's ever. I got to do the puzzle piece thing now. There I did it. Um, she does not recommend. She deeply does not recommend that you film a movie in this fashion, even if the results are worth it.
Oh man, I really yeah. I think it's on Max if I'm correct. I want to say it's on Max now
It's
because they
definitely
had
on one of the free services because I don't remember having to pay to see it.
because it's HBO
I mean,
Max has
subscription services because I have.
Marcel the Shell. What shoes on?
Someone in the chats is talking about one of my favorite Philip K. Dicks as well, which is like "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep," which is a Philip K. Dick that they use for a lot of jumping off points, like Blade Runner and things like that. Yeah, so that's a great story. If you're not familiar with Philip K. Dick and you want to read a short story to get involved with knowing him, that's a great one to jump to.
What's it called?
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
That's a long title.
I know it is a
I
long
literally
title.
put "do androids" and my thing autofilled "dream of electric sheep." Get the fuck
Yes.
you,
It
Microsoft.
knows. It knows. It's
It
the only.
knows.
It knows. If you're going to ask a question about androids, that's the first question you're going to ask about them.
Fucking, they're over here like, we are self aware now. Like shit, my computer's gonna kill me. Like,
You got to look it up on a
initiate.
library computer.
Okay, so I am going to try to pick that book up. So it shows here Marcel with the Shell with shoes on is on Netflix.
Netflix. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
I might end up watching that tonight. I'm off tomorrow, so I need a
Oh.
movie to watch tonight, anyways.
Tell me
And I
how
will
you like.
definitely let you know.
Please do. Please do.
Like, why would you do this to me? Why would you say it's a good movie?
Yes, exactly.
Oh
Oh.
man. So we are on number three.
Mm-hmm.
My number three is The Witch.
Yeah.
It is just beautifully told,
Mm-hmm.
and Edgar, he, you, his he really studied that time period,
Mm.
and he made you really feel that you were in that time period with the old English, the setting. It did throw me off at first with the goat when the
Mm-hmm.
goat started kind of talking. Well, but holy shit, the ending shocked me. It left me sitting there pondering what the hell I just watched. Like, did this
Mm-hmm.
really all happen? Did she do it? Like, okay, she's a witch now. And then, like, going through the whole, everyone's like, oh man, smears the baby all over her. I was like, that's what they did though. That's what witches in that time period did, because that was when I looked it up, it was, they were explaining that that's apparently what they would do is smear the blood of an innocent or virgins. And I was like, wow. Like, it left me speechless for a while. I will say that.
Yeah,
And
and
yeah,
isn't it the first time we get the actress Anna
on a Taylor Joy,
Taylor-Joy? Yeah, I
that I
believe
mean,
that's
as
the
far as
first time I
I,
saw her in something.
yeah, I was about to say that's the first time I've ever seen her in anything as far back as I can remember. Let's look. She has just blown up too.
Yeah, she was very, very good in the one where she played chess, the Queen's Gambit.
I have not seen that though,
It was
so I've heard
pretty
it's good
good,
though.
yeah. Yeah. And
Okay,
then, of
let's
course,
see.
quite good in that one with Matt Smith. Like,
Oh,
there's a horror
Late Night in
movie set.
Soho.
Yeah, Late Night in Soho. That's
That
very good.
movie was so good,
Mm.
so good.
Surprised it wasn't
Um,
an A24. It does have A24 feels about it, but it is not A24.
no, it's not. It's I don't know who. I can't remember who it is. It's not Neon, is it?
Maybe. Actually, I think you're right. I think it might be Neon. Neon
Um,
is probably the closest competitor to A24, so that would make for
Especially
the most
lately,
sense. Yeah.
they're dropping some serious fucking movies this year.
Hmm.
Um,
It's funny. My number three is Ex Machina, which is great because like we just covered it. So dancing
uh,
around.
so good. It's just, I'm so
Hmm.
glad. I mean, I really like being able. I hate it having to watch a movie that's been out for so long that everybody loves, and I'm just now watching it because it kind of sucks getting late to the party.
Yeah, because you want
But
to.
God, it feels so good because now, like I said in my Godfather review, now that I have more respect for film in the last 5 years compared to what I had my whole life growing up just watching movies, I can respect this movie more now watching it
Mhm.
than I would have probably 10 years ago if I watched The Godfather.
Oh yeah, fair, fair. And like, I wouldn't say it's the weirdest time to suddenly watch Ex Machina. I'm movie night extravaganza's like official Alex Garland correspondent. Anytime they do an Alex Garland film, I come in to talk about it because I wind up standing him so hard I didn't even realize. But like with Civil War coming out in 2 days, people are gonna suddenly be like, I guess I need to watch other things he's seen, and they're gonna go and watch Ex Machina, like you, having simply missed it.
Yeah. I will say though, I was not a fan of Men. That I was not.
No, that's the one of the one A24 I got so hyped to see, and it just doesn't
It was.
actualize into anything.
It just. It was underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It really. It didn't. And it didn't feel like it was trying. It didn't feel like it knew what it was trying to talk about or trying to say. And it
That's
was
true.
just like a bunch of I. It's like somebody was throwing a bunch of ideas at a board and was like,
Yes.
put all this in this
Yes.
movie. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
and like you, I was really over. I was hyped as hell for it because the trailers alone was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is it, but it was not it.
It just didn't. It didn't. And that'll happen every once in a while.
Yeah.
You'll think that something has everything that it needs to have to make a movie that you specifically are
Yep.
gonna like, and you're like, shit, if I didn't like it, and this was supposed to be tailored to my type of audience base, this movie's gonna do poorly.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So Ex Machina is your three.
Yes,
It's
Ex
crazy.
Machina is my three.
It's like a flip flop.
Yeah, right. We're doing that in a couple different places. It's kind of interesting.
So number two, bringing it all the way back to your number 10, we're going with the Green Room.
Green Room.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's my number
Yeah.
two. Um,
Nice.
like I said, I love Anton Yelchin. I'm a huge Anton Yelchin fan, and definitely R.I.P.D. He was definitely taken way too soon.
God, unbelievable, in such a stupid way too.
Yeah, it's a crazy. It's like the in getting pinned into your mailbox is the most like bizarre and random way to go out.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's like he wasn't drunk. There wasn't
nope.
even like he just didn't put the brake. Like,
It's like that little thing cost us that big, such a great actor right there.
yeah, right when he was starting to get quite like established to
Yeah,
people, we're putting him in more stuff. Yeah, he's really quite good.
yeah, very sad. What is your number two?
Green Knight.
That's not on my list, but God, I love that movie because it
Yeah.
is such a interesting take on King Arthur.
Mhm.
And yeah, Dev Patel, bringing it back to Dev Patel from earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, Green
I
Knight.
mean, it's one of those ones where yes, I get my love for it is not because Dev Patel is in it. He's astounding in it. Um, but like I know that this one is a difficult one for people to want to get on board with because it's very weird and it's very heady and it kind of makes as much sense as you can of the original story that it's trying to tell, which
Yeah,
we're missing folios of and doesn't entirely hold together. But what they wound up making out of it, and because in college I spent a period of time studying medieval Welsh and reading the Maganobian and reading these Jason stories, that like I was just so it felt like the unfilmable film. And then to
yep.
see that they wound up with that, it was
Mm-hmm.
just like oh, A24, you're gonna be that kind of studio? Okay.
And
Not
the
just
hype
weird,
around
but
that
like
movie,
artsy.
yeah, and the hype
Yeah.
around that movie was so alive. But when it
Mm-hmm.
came out, that was shifted so much. Everyone was like, I can't wait to see this movie. And then they saw it, they're like, what the fuck did I just
I
watch?
just
Like,
watched. Yeah.
I'm like, you watched
Oh.
art. That's what that was. Like that is one of the best representations of somebody that wants to make art and they make a fucking masterpiece because it is a really good movie, but it's definitely a movie you also have to be in that type of mindset to want to watch. Like it's not something you can
Mhm.
just throw on
Mhm.
and be like, this is what I want to watch right now. It's like you
Mhm.
got to be like, am I prepared to watch this movie? Because it is very intricate. It's a story. But it's not a story that normally is made. Or well, it's normally made, but it's not normally made the way that it was made.
Yeah,
Hope that makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah, and it's not dressed up in any way. It's not
No,
modernized to make more sense to it. It is what it is.
it's smart.
It's also from David Lowery, who did another A24 film that I have on my list. It's on everyone's like, you got to see this list, and I'm curious if you've seen it. Have you seen Ghost Story?
I have. I need to rewatch it because I was kind of bored with it. It's
Yeah.
there's some weird scenes that I felt like were like, okay, 10 minutes
Mm.
of somebody eating pie is not something I really want to see,
Oh
but
no,
I
I.
understand there's a lot of meaning
Mm.
behind it, and everyone's like, oh, it's just because you haven't it's if you deal with death, if or dealt with death of a loved one or someone in your family, and I'm like, I've dealt with a lot of death, believe me, I know about grieving and all that stuff, but it's just it wasn't my
Mhm.
style. It's not. I recommend anybody watch it though because it's like it's a movie at least that you should at least watch because
Yeah.
it's a movie like you're gonna look at it on the outside and be like I don't know if I'm gonna like that, but you might
Mhm.
watch it and be like holy shit I actually did like that because it's
Mhm.
that's a movie that's very toss up. You're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it.
Yeah, there's a couple of A24s that do that where they are so the artist is trying to say a comment on the everyday, on the mundane, on a like long
Yeah.
take form comment, and it's a little boring for me, particularly Jonathan Glazer, like Under the Skin. Zone of Interest. I get that those are critically acclaimed. I get that for people there's a love of that style of filmmaking, but I don't like it.
I didn't mind Under the Skin, but I wasn't all crazy about it like everybody else was. Well, I wouldn't say everybody else because there are a lot of people that didn't like that movie, but the people that did like it, I'm not. I didn't see why they liked it, but at the same time, I'm like, hey man, I respect you. Like you like it, that's cool. But me is just, it was interesting.
Some of the shots in the black room were very like, ooh.
Yeah, like the camera shots were great, but it was like the story was just a little
slow.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's maybe if I watch it again in like another 5 years or something like that, maybe I'll have a different point of view, but I wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it.
I'll go record on saying I hated it. I'll die on that hill.
Under the Skin is clever. I mean,
it is, it's clever. It's clever in the commentary that is trying to make about having this woman who is there to use men as food, and then in the process of trying to kill these men, she starts to realize what it might be to be human, and then she puts on this attempt to try and be human, and all of that is apparent. It just feels like it could have been maybe like 40 minutes shorter for my liking. And of course, as movie runtime, I am literally ellipticaling the entire duration of these films. So I watched Under the Skin for movie runtime. So I'm just like, this could really just end anytime soon.
It honestly, I think Under the Skin would have worked better as a short film than it did as a full length.
Yeah.
It has more of a better storytelling to be told in a 30-minute short film than, what was it, almost 2 hours long? Something like that. Yeah, it dragged.
Or even like a great Black Mirror episode.
That'd be interesting.
Okay. So as we approach the end, we're gonna get to our number one A24 films of the ones that we have seen. You ready?
So are we doing number one, or should we do our honorable mentions?
Let's do honorable mentions first.
Before we get to number one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my first honorable mention is a movie that a lot of people didn't like, and it's actually a movie that is, like I said before, didn't know that A24 started out in 2011, and this movie came out, I think, 2012. One second, sorry.
No worries.
It was 2014. So this one is Revenge of the Green Dragons.
Oh, I haven't seen this one.
So when it was advertised in theaters, I really wanted to see it, and it's such an interesting true story. I think it's a true story. If I'm correct, it's a true story. But it got horrible reviews. But the main thing that when they were advertising it, they were advertising that Martin Scorsese was a producer, which he's a co-producer, but a quiet co-producer. Like, he didn't have really much to do with it. He just kind of backed it just to put his name on it.
Yeah.
And it's got Ray Liotta in it. And then the dude from do you remember 21 and Over? I think that's what it was, with Miles Teller, the comedy movie about the Asian kid that turns 21 and they get plastered drunk on his birthday. Oh, it's pretty freaking hilarious. The kid from that, he plays in it. It's not a bad movie. It takes place in Chinatown, and it's pretty much about the Green Dragons, which is like a Chinatown gang. And Ray Liotta is in it. He's a cop, and he's trying to like infiltrate them. And so he gets one of them to kind of flip and wear a wire and go undercover. But yeah, it's not the greatest A24 movie, but I still really like the story.
Totally. That's great. I'm gonna have to add that to my list because I haven't even heard of that one.
It's really good, and if you like Ray Liotta, you'll like it.
I do love a Ray Liotta movie. I actually just watched that almost silent film he did with Charlie Day just before he passed.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh God. And I'm gonna space on the name and the title of it.
I hate when I do that. When I know the movie and I'm like,
and I reviewed Fool's Paradise, which came out in 2023. So it's a pretty recent one, but it came out directly to Hulu. So it's really easy to miss those direct to ones. Interesting. If I was gonna throw one onto our like honorable mentions, I would have to say The Lighthouse.
I added that on my honorable mentions, but that's one of those movies where it's like I don't know if I liked it or if I didn't like it. I'm like right there in the middle because I
Right.
watched it and I sat there was like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Oh yeah. No, you have to be willing to just like, and it's funny that I'm like, Jonathan Glazer is too weird and boring. And then I'm like, but The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Like, everyone who's listening, do understand, I don't even know where the edge is on why that is that way.
It's the acting though. Holy shit though.
Yeah,
The
it's the
acting from Robert
acting.
Pattinson and William Dafoe bouncing off each other
It's
was
the activeness of it, yeah.
wow. But that story had me so lost because I'm like, okay, what is going on? And then when they're fighting and then they're doing the other thing and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's
Oh,
like, what the
I love
fuck?
Willem Dafoe when he's weird though. Like I even like Antichrist, and that's another really divisive one where
Heard
like,
about that movie. That's I've
yeah,
definitely
it
heard
doesn't
about that movie.
entirely have a story.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's a movie. It's from
It's a movie. It's
it's
a
the best
movie.
way I can
It's
describe
yeah.
how
It's
what I've heard.
not Serbian film, so I will give it that.
Okay, okay, we're good on
It's
that.
entirely watchable, is what I'm saying. But it's not a. I don't need to see it twice. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it. Um, but I did kind of enjoy it because Willem Dafoe is weird.
William, he's if when he goes, it's gonna be a sad day in cinema history because
And yeah,
nobody can ever outdo William Dafoe in his acting
so
chops.
true. Oh, Crystal is in the chat, so I just wanted to say hi to
Krista.
her as well. Happy to see you in there. Thanks for joining us as we approach our final. We're doing our honorable mentions before we do our number one top A24 film choice of the ones that we have seen. Do you have another honorable mention?
I got three more.
Awesome, awesome.
So I
Let's do
know
it.
I remember I talked to you about this one. So I don't know if you watched it after I talked to you about it, but Outlaws, the
I
one
still have
that
not yet seen it. Yeah.
I wanted it to be better. Like I
Oh.
wanted it felt like a Sons of Anarchy episode that was taken out of the show and just like thrown away. Like
Mm.
it felt like it could have been better, but it just didn't get better. It was weird. And then I got X and Pearl. I have those on my honorable
Oh, and
mentions.
those are related to each other, right? I
Yes.
haven't seen either of them, but they're in the same universe.
Yeah, they
Need to see
so
them.
X is takes place in I want to say it was the 80s or 70s and
Mhm.
then Pearl takes place in the 50s or the 20s. It's
Mhm.
one of those. Like it's like it
Mhm.
goes backwards and then
Yeah.
Maxine coming out is going to be in the 80s.
I think
So
Pearl is the one that happens first because it's like the
yes.
total telling up. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes
But
sense.
if you watch it, I would watch it like how it was released. I would watch X and then watch
Oh.
Pearl because you'll it makes a little bit better sense in a way, even though it goes backwards.
Uh-huh.
Because you're not in X, you're gonna get a sense of who Pearl is,
Mhm.
but you want to kind of do that way because then you'll be like, okay, now I'm gonna go into Pearl, and I already know this bitch is batshit crazy. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. Fair. Okay.
so it's Pearl took me. I turned it off halfway because I was like, this movie is just boring and it's just weird, but it's not like weird like Beau is Afraid kind of weird. It's weird like it felt like overacting for Mia Goth, and I'm not a
Mm.
huge Mia Goth fan. I
Mhm.
respect her acting, but I'm just like some of her stuff, especially the stuff coming out about her supposedly kicking the extra on set. That's a no go right there. We're not gonna talk about, but yeah. So X and Pearl, I got those are on my honorable mentions.
I have only one other honorable mention, but it does kind of integrate with someone in the chats is talking about how they also enjoyed After Yang and Eighth Grade, which are I think that A24 also has a subgenre. If they do horror as much as they do, kind of like in unique stories, weird stories, they
Yeah.
also do coming of age,
Yep.
and I would also throw Lady Bird on there as a like
I
honorable mention.
still need to watch that.
Oh
I
yes,
know.
quite the acting.
It's on my list. It's on my
Mhm.
list.
Yeah, yeah.
But he mentions eighth grade, and I think eighth grade is a
Yeah,
phenomenal one.
I
I
haven't seen
love
that
Bo
one, so
Burnham though. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Bo Burnham, and so like him coming out of the gate and directing his first directorial debut film, and it skyrocketing like that, that's impressive.
Yeah,
You,
that is true. Yeah.
yeah.
I loved
All
him
right.
in Promising Young Woman as well. He was a very good actor as well as a director.
I don't know why people hate on that movie. I understand that it's a kind of a mess, some whatever in a movie. It was average. I felt like the rating for the movie though was not what it deserved because they were like it's rated R for gore and violence, and I'm like, there's no gore at all. Violent, yes, in a sense. And it was advertised differently. Like I did go into that movie expecting her to be murdering these guys, like
Mhm.
luring them and murdering them, but she was just
Mhm.
teaching them a lesson. But I still
Mhm.
really enjoyed it. And Promising Young Women is I really I'm one of the few people that really liked that movie. And the
It's
ending was
impressive.
yeah, it's a
Well, it's also the Saltburn director. It's the same director as Saltburn, and if you're going to talk about those two films, everybody wanted to talk about Saltburn, and I'm like, why didn't anybody want to talk about
yeah,
Promising Young Woman?
yeah. Man, Promising
Yeah.
Young Woman is just it was and it was definitely not an ending I was expecting to see. I was not expecting her to be a part of that plan. That was the whole plan at the beginning. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
Which is similar to
okay,
Saltburn. There's
yeah,
this whole like plan you're not
the
aware of yet, and then
ruse
the
you're not
ending you
aware
kind of
of.
come like,
Yep.
oh shit.
And then it all coming down in like full circle. Like,
hmm
I love revenge movies, so
I do too. I do too.
they're just
But
so
it's
fun.
I feel like sometimes people want to say like, "Oh, it's just a revenge movie," and I'm like, okay,
No,
so a person or someone in their family has been wronged, and so their protagonist wants to get back at them and make things right. That's
yeah,
pretty much every single Marvel movie. How come you don't label those revenge movies, and yet you want to
they
call
just
this
have superpowers.
you want to call this horror genre revenge and be like, it's just another revenge movie? I'm like, okay, well, fine.
There and going over the years of watching new revenge movies in general,
Mhm.
there's so many different ones.
Of course.
Like I don't know when it's coming to streaming, but when Femme comes out
hmm
available for you for people to watch, I
Yeah.
you that is a must watch movie. It
Okay.
is very brutal, very depressing, and
Mm.
very bleak. Like
Oh.
it's one of those movies that goes full circle
Oh.
kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
something happens at the beginning, and then at the end, it's literally like the beginning but flipped, and it
Oh.
leaves you just like, oh, oh
Okay.
shit, like,
Okay.
and that's another one of those movies that it's gonna fall under a lot of people's radar because of the theme of the movie, because
Mm.
it's about a guy who gets beat up in a homophobic attack, then sees one of his attackers at a gay sauna, forms a relationship to kind of try to do a revenge by exploiting him without his permission as like a revenge porn type of thing or whatever. But it's so much more than that. And when the ending and everything really starts building up, you're just already just so grasped into the movie. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Awesome. I will add it to my list and I will have to check it out as soon as I can. So let's do it. Let's do the top. What's your number one?
Talk to me. I was waiting for you to be like, I wonder where Talk to Me is. Like you said it was on the list.
You know what? I'm such a like Labrador of a host or co-host whenever I do these kind of lives. I'm just like in the moment. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, he has the hand behind him. We talked about it for a long time.
No, I told you it's not the hand. I don't know what you're talking about.
Number one.
Yeah, Talk to Me. I love it. It's
Mhm.
the most fun I had watching a movie in the theater in a long time.
Yeah.
And
Oh, in the
it's
theater too is great.
I saw it 4 times in theaters. I went the first night. It was me, the girl, my girlfriend, and the kids. And
Yeah.
then I was talking to my coworkers. I was like, "Man, you guys need to see this movie." And I started buying the tickets. I was like, "We're going this weekend." So then me and like 2 coworkers went one weekend, and then the next weekend me and 2 other coworkers went, and then the next weekend after that me and the final coworker. So I was like, "Everybody's gonna watch this movie," so I have people to talk about it with in this restaurant.
I love when I do that when I'm like, you have to engage in
Yeah.
this media so I can talk
And
to you.
that's what I did with Monkey Man. Me and one coworker went, and then I was like, you guys got to see this movie. We're going Monday. Let's go." And so we all
Yeah.
went. And I was like, "We're all talking about it." Like,
I love that. I love that. And that's good because, like, I feel the people I've been telling to see Monkey Man have loved it, but have all
Yeah,
said to me, if you didn't tell me to see this, Katie, I just would have missed it entirely. And no one's been talking about it. And I'm like, well, that's a damn shame.
that's a damn shame because like I feel like especially all not the I would say the last 2 days, but the weekend. I mean, that's all my feed was Monkey Man,
Yeah.
Monkey Man, Monkey Man, and I can't even type Monkey Man in any lives because their TikTok's like, no, that's racist, buddy, and I'm like, I'm trying to talk about a movie, like,
Movie. Oh Jesus! And my friends that are not involved in the film talk universe, because
uh,
I have a lot of friends who won't use TikTok because they believe that they are too old to use TikTok. So I have to tell them what I'm doing on here. So they're like, "Oh, that's cool. Okay.
all right, oh, good job,
That's
like,
good. That's the thing. Huh,
keep it
huh,
up, man, just give yourself a pat on the back.
yeah." If you ever put that reel on Instagram, I'll take a look at it.
All right.
So my
I
number,
think I have a feeling what your number one is.
yeah, it's the obvious one that I haven't said yet. It's Everything Everywhere All at
Yep.
Once. It is.
I was waiting for it. I was like,
It's
that
the weirdest one.
yeah, that was on my list, but I replaced that one with The Whale because I was like I started thinking I was balancing those two together. And I love Everything Everywhere All at Once because of its weirdness, but I also love scientific style movies, so like the time travel aspect of it was just
Mm.
like this is fucking fun. And
Hmm.
it catches you so off guard with every parallel universe she goes through. Like where they're shoving shit up their asses.
Their fingers are these A24 sold the hot dog finger gloves on their website.
You can't you can't people can hate on A24 all they want, but their fucking marketing is on point. Like this isn't just a hand. This is also a bowl piece to smoke the medical stuff out of.
Oh yeah, I know. So when I saw that online and I saw that that's what that actually, I was like, oh, I could totally have that. And then I saw what it was. I was like, oh, A24. I see that you're just targeting me directly now.
Yeah,
Fine, take my money.
that was the final straw what made me spend the 140. So I was deciding on it for a long time. I was like, but I don't use incense because incense I get like I think I'm allergic to like opium type of incense and stuff like that because I get like
Yeah.
really bad like sneezes and stuff. My eyes
Hmm.
start burning. Um, I was like, I don't use incense, but I really want it. And then I was looking at the umbrella version of theirs, and I was like, oh, there's come with a steel book. There's come with a pen. I could write my own names and stuff all over the hand. I was like, all right, and that's a little bit cheaper, or a little. It was a little bit more, and I was like, man, okay. And then I looked in the description, and it says a movie prop incense burner, and then in slashes said or smoking device. I said, all right, take my money. Like, take my money right
Yeah.
now.
They're like incense burner.
Yeah, I'm not allergic to that one.
Yeah, no, I've definitely spent more than that on other things for that purpose. So I probably will too soon own that
It's worth
object.
it. I will say it's worth it. I mean, I have the box still. Like the box is just so.
It's awesome.
It's like it comes with like a card, and it was so well packaged. Like I
Their
would
marketing game is unparalleled. It
I want
really,
to get the
really.
vinyl. They have the vinyl soundtrack, and it's like an
Mm.
orange vinyl, and they're sold out right now. So I'm hoping they restock because like I'm like, you want some more of my money, like
They do. They just got to get on top of that again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
You
yeah,
can't top
it's,
them.
I was gonna say the reason I love Everything Everywhere at Once so much, despite it being so incredibly weird, with scenes like the raccoon, the ratatouille. That's so weird.
That shit was
Um,
just so funny.
it was so heartwarming, and we got to see Hey Juan again for the first time in a really long time.
And he got an Oscar.
The whole so I was part of a live Oscar stream that year, and we were all so behind Everything Everywhere at Once, and it swept. So it was like, I love this movie, all my friends love this movie, we did this live stream on it, and the audience was all and like, and everybody was just wrapped. It was so much part of the zeitgeist,
Yeah.
but it was also so weird that I couldn't believe it got made. And as a filmmaker who wants to make weird things, seeing it and then seeing how much everybody loved it, it just made me feel like, oh my god, there's hope there's hope for the stories I want
Yeah.
to tell, and it felt like that's why it has to be number one, because it made me want to make movies again.
And I mean, it was recognized by everybody. No matter if you loved it or hated it, you still were talking about it.
Oh God,
Because
yeah.
like no matter what, there's a scene in that movie that you're gonna think of and you're just gonna be talking about it. Like so like love it or hate it, the movie is incredible. It is a and like you said, it's moving. It is a
Yeah.
very beautiful movie, you know, just
Yeah.
about their relationship in general and trying to fight back to get your relationship back on track.
Hmm.
It's incredible.
And then
And
there's a
Jamie Lee
scene,
Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis, yes,
I mean,
not it's so nuts.
like that movie right there showed her range in acting.
Mhm.
I think better than any movie she's ever played
Oh,
because
clearly,
she
yeah.
had what like four, five different style characters in that movie. Technically, it's like
Hmm.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
You can't top it. Damn, now I'm mad I didn't put that on my list because now the more I'm thinking
See,
about it, I'm like, I
I'm
fucking
talking you
love
into
it.
it. And she's gonna be in that new is it Borderlands movie where she's playing a
Mm,
particularly strange character as well.
she's
She's kind of
yeah.
embracing it.
I don't know how I feel. I'm a big Borderlands game fan, and
Hmm.
the movie is just like it's the movie itself looks good. It's the casting that has me worried.
Mm.
It's I mean, I'm not a big Kevin Hart fan.
Oh no,
I think,
I've been obsessed with him. So I don't
and
know.
he's just not fit for that role that he's playing.
Mhm.
And then having Tiny Tina as a main character instead of the side character that she is in the video games is kind of.
Mm.
And then, I mean, I have a little bit of faith because Eli Ross said he's a big fan of the games, but I also look at how many reshoots this movie took. It took a lot of reshoots,
Never
and
good.
it was supposed to originally come out like 2 years ago, or like last year, I mean. And then they kept pushing it back, and then they just dropped the trailer 7 months before the movie comes out, and that always kind of worries me. But well,
Mm.
no, I don't. Who knows
We'll have to
though?
see. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't play the game, so I don't know too much about that.
Then you
But
might actually like it. Who knows?
yeah, that's usually the case. There's really only one set of games that I have like a deep reverence for, and they just announced that they might be trying to make them into a movie, and I am like both elated beyond words and also like ready to kill someone if they mess it up. I'm a From Software fan,
Okay.
so they're talking about Bloodborne,
Hmm.
which
I
like maybe maybe.
I've never. So I've tried the games,
Hmm.
but Dark Souls are not my type of games, and
Yeah,
but
it's a relentless
it's
type of a
like
game.
how are you gonna? I don't know how the hell they would do that in the correct way, because the
Exactly.
story in general is so intricate and all over the place. Not really all over the place, but it's like when it comes to Dark Souls style games, there's so many different enemy types. Are you gonna add all
Hmm.
these enemy types in the game in the movie?
Hmm.
Or are you just gonna add the biggest baddest one of the whole game and just add him? And it's
Hmm.
so it's like it could
Hmm.
go either way. It just I mean, have they announced anybody that's making it, or is it just
It's
rumor?
so in the like they just optioned it period where like
Mm,
somebody found out that it's even been optioned, and so they've been talking about that. So it's
ah,
very early on. And then like it's interesting because all of the lore or the story behind Dark Souls is told in the description of the items. So you have to
yeah.
pick up an item and look at the description and then put together what they all mean together. Although there's a really wonderful YouTuber who created something called the Abyssal Archive, which is their interpretation of all of that lore compressed together as a single story.
Hmm.
So maybe those kinds of things coming together are going to fuel some interesting stories. But much like Borderlands, as an extreme fan, am I ever going to be happy? I don't know.
Who knows? Because I mean, has such a big fan base, and so
Mhm.
it's like you're not just trying to. It's not like the Super Mario movie where you just could do it with animation and aim for kids. This is a game
Mhm.
that is still played daily by
Mhm.
millions of people. So it's like
Mhm.
you got a lot of shoes to fill. This is a big game series. You better hope you bring your A game with it.
Mm. All
Oh.
right. Well, anything else you want to cover before we kind of wrap this up? We've been going for just a little shy of 2 hours now, and we've got our full list out. I'm really happy for all the people who have been joining us and chatting in and throwing things into the
Yeah,
chats for us to talk about.
this was definitely a lot of fun. It's
Oh my
only
God,
been
yeah.
a month in the making.
Well, a couple of things came left, right, and sideways to
Yeah.
get us together to do this. But, much like getting you on the podcast, it will happen. It happens in the time that it takes to happen. And it makes some good content. Like we wanted to think about these when we were
Oh
talking
yeah.
about them. I like
And
that.
it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. It showed other people what me and you both like out of these types of movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a good movie.
And there's so many, like, I'm also really hyped to see I saw the TV Glow, which is another
Oh,
A24
you
that's
saw
about
it?
to come out. No, I'm hyped to see, like,
Oh,
we're
I
talking about
know.
things that will come out soon as
Yeah.
well that we're really excited about. There's so much A24 content that, like, this list could easily change in a couple of weeks because we'll have
Yeah.
seen new movies.
Oh yeah. I mean, what was that one you were talking about? The unicorn?
Oh yeah, A Death of a Unicorn.
I can't.
Yeah.
That sounds like the most batshit crazy movie, and I am all about it. Like, like it's
Sign
yeah.
me
It's
up.
like,
Yeah.
oh man, yeah. That I mean, I saw the TV Glow looks super weird, and I am all about that weirdness right there because that looks like it's my type of weird.
Hmm.
Um, and again, back to your favorite thing, the lighting. Just the lighting alone in the trailer
Yeah.
had my attention. The colors, oh my god,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I think because so much of our mainstream movies are really color corrected orange blue, they're really set a specific way. Like Michael Bay kind of put us in that specific, like, here's Transformers, we're doing this now. That I do respond so very much to when anything's slightly different. Like Mandy is so heavily corrected red that I'm just like,
I
yes.
fucking love Manny. Oh man, if you ever
It
want to
is so
come out
good.
here and do a Nicolas Cage ranking,
Huh.
hey,
I think we just found our next list. I have to watch
right?
Dream Scenario, even though I heard it's not as good as people want
I
it to
that's still on my
be.
list too.
I
Yeah,
gotta watch it. I'll watch Nicolas Cage. I feel like every single time I turn on one of my streaming services, they're like, "Hey, here's a new Nicolas Cage movie," and I'm like, "I didn't even know he filmed this. When did he film this? All he do is film movies now, like ass to ass to ass to ass."
well, from what I heard, I thought he was retiring,
Yeah, right.
and then all
Yeah,
these movies are
him and
coming
Tom
out.
Brady.
I'm like, have you seen Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
No, I am desperate to see it though. Is it
That is one of
streaming
my
yet? I should just buy it.
if I'm correct, that's on Max as well.
If it's on Max, I am watching it as soon as I hang up on this
It
live.
is one of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies, like hands down. And him and Pedro Pascal together, holy shit, is the funniest shit ever. Um, well, apparently it is only on Stars.
That's why I haven't seen it because I don't have stars. I'll just rent it at this point.
But yeah, it is so funny, and it goes into detail, not detail, but there is because he plays himself. There is a scene where like he's talking to like his therapist, and she's like, "You're always just constantly making movies. Like, when are you gonna take time to stop and just like enjoy life?" And he's like, "This is my life. This is my job," and blah blah blah. And goes into, and I'm like, "Well, that explains a lot." That, and he has a bad spending habit, from what I heard. He's bad. He can't save his money worth shit.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen his grave. He's already bought his grave in New Orleans, and it's a massive stone pyramid.
I gotta see that now.
It's so weird. I'm in this
Oh,
like historic New Orleans cemetery because I love to go to cemeteries whenever I travel. And everybody's gathered around this like pyramid thing and I look at it and it says Nicolas Cage and I know he is not yet dead. And
no
I had to Google
way.
it. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Wait,
He has pre-bought his plot.
did he put his name in a different language? It says like, or am I tripping? Oh, Amina, Amnia
It's got some
Una.
Latin on it. Yeah, it's got some
Okay,
Latin on it.
yeah, that is a total Nicolas Cage grave right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just screams Nicolas Cage.
So I can see why he's constantly making movies because he's like spending as quickly as he is getting in.
Oh
Definitely.
man,
Yeah.
did you ever see Pig?
No, no. I have this like weird thing where anytime I'm afraid there'll be too much violence towards animals in a movie, I can't totally get through the movie. And so pig being what it is, I'm not sure I'll be able to handle it. Although there's the website doesthedogdie.com, which tells you whether or not there's too much violence to animals. So I
I
should
don't
just check it out.
I don't think there is any
Okay.
violence to the pig at all in the
All
movie.
right.
But
Wow.
I was not. Everybody loved that movie. I was not a fan of it.
Oh, okay.
I myself, I again, I like slow burns, but I
Mhm.
felt this slow burn, and the story is you read about the story or you watch the trailer, and you're
Mhm.
thinking you're getting into some crazy Nicolas Cage movie, and it's nothing like they advertise at all, and it's a weird one. I
A
don't know. I
weird
just
one.
was like, you might like it, but me, I wasn't a fan. I could see
Mm-hmm.
why people liked it, but at the same time, I'm just like, why though? Like it.
Mm-hmm.
This is Nicolas Cage's most well reviewed movie. I was like, okay, like,
Oh,
but I
really?
don't know.
I
I
would
just
rather watch him in Moonstruck before. If you're going to talk about a well-removed movie, I love that. I mean, you get some weird Nicolas Cage in that as well.
and that's young Nicolas Cage too. When he was even
Young
weirder,
weird. Yeah.
he had that whole look and everything when he was younger. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Just the hair is like, ha.
Before he got the wrinkles and shit, and like he had like the crazy eyes. He's like,
He's
I'm
always
Nicolas
got the
Cage.
He's always got those crazy eyes. Those are still there in
Yeah.
Moonstruck. I will say that. Like the very first time you see him, he's wearing just a tank top, and he's like turns around and he's just like, pacha!
Okay. Moonstruck. That's the one with him and Cher, right?
Yeah, him and
See, I
Cher.
never
Yeah,
actually. That's one I need to add to my list
you
because I never actually
honestly
sat down and watched that one.
honestly should because it's not like I'm not a big fan of romantic comedies, but it is so stellar of a script that it's like Usual Suspects or Glengarry Glen Ross, where like this is an award-winning script by a
Yeah.
screenplay, by like a screen. Sorry, by a playwright who is coming into making a screenplay. So it really does have really great monologues and really great lines, and it hits really well. But it still holds up.
Well, I mean, Cher was also a really good actress at one point too.
She was very good in this. Yeah, I mean, well, she won an Oscar, so she was definitely very good in this.
Yeah, one of my favorite early Nicolas Cage ones is definitely going to be Raising Arizona.
That is my favorite of his. If we're going straight to favorites, I love Raising Arizona. I'm a big Cohen fan, but like, I
Yeah,
love when the Coens get wacky like that.
yeah, Raising Arizona is just it's when you think of Nicolas Cage, you're gonna think of at the top of my head three movies altogether: Raising Arizona,
Mhm.
Face Off, Con Air. Those are gonna be the
Yeah,
three movies right there. But if you're going off of like, if you were to ask that, if you were to ask now, it's gonna be Willy's Wonderland, Mandy, and
Vandy.
stuff like that. You know, but
Hmm.
it's like if you ask real like movie lovers, those are gonna be the three right there.
Hmm.
Nicolas Cage, all right, bam, 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 bam. Like, all right,
Hmm.
cool. You know, and but back to Mandy. Mandy, yeah, Mandy is so bizarre because at first I'm sitting there watching like, okay, this is about to get
Slow,
good, and then it's like, oh,
chill.
okay, it's not getting good. Okay, oh, okay, here we, oh shit, and then it's just everything just flips like that, and I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. Let's go.
I, I would say that's a great example of slow burn.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's slow, and then it boils the hell over, y'all, and it lets the pot boil onto the floor
yep.
and everywhere. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but we don't want to spoil the Nicolas Cage one now, so we gotta
We'll
save
get to
that one for
that.
next time.
Absolutely. And again, thanks to everybody who's hung out with us this whole time, given us some stuff to talk about in the chats. Really appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing you again next time when we talk about Nicolas Cage. I will be taking this and putting this on YouTube. So if you want to see the replay later on, you'll find it there and probably later today into tomorrow. All right,
I had
guys.
fun. All right, you have a
Thanks.
good one. Okay,
You too. Bye.
bye.